The Libido Doctor is in.
Hello, this is Dr. Suzanne, and today I would like to talk to you mainly to girls, college students, or after college, postgraduate, medical school, who are still single, and give them a few tips to recognize and pick the perfect partner. Okay, I wish somebody told me that when I was still a student. More and more girls are high achiever. Me, for example, I have 3 girls going to Harvard, achieving high, very smart, very emotionally intelligent, very street smart too. So girls like that, for what I've seen in my practice, with my patients who went to college, who got married, sometimes they didn't know how to pick their husband, and I see some little troubles. Okay, so let's go into that. The first criteria is to make sure that you match up your spiritual values. So if you're a Christian, make sure your husband is a Christian who believes in God and who really submits under the authority of Christ. That is very important because it will determine how he treats you. Because the Bible says for a man to love his wife, and if he loves you the way he's supposed to, then you will submit to him, and there won't be too many frictions in the couple, even though you both are highly educated. The second criteria for my little princesses out there, he has to be smarter than you. It doesn't matter if you are in the same type of field, it could be the medical field, it could be the law field. He has to be smarter. If you are smarter than your future spouse, there's going to be a level of competition that you will not be able to figure out initially, but it will happen because if naturally you are smarter and you come up with the best ideas and all that in your field, especially if you are in the same field, it's going to cause trouble. And for what I know, if a girl is smarter than a boy, she will tend to look down on him a little bit. You want to make sure that you admire that person you want to get married to. Okay? So the third criteria is a person who loves you as a whole. He loves your physical because that's what attracted him initially. He loves your intellect, the way you think, the way you solve problems, the way you act. He loves your spiritual, your emotional, but he also loves your gifts. Women have different gifts. We have creativity, we are ingenious, we have intuition, we have a lot of things. And he should not be intimidated by your level of education. You really have to pay attention to that. If you go on a date with a guy and he tells you, little things to belittle you, you need to cut off immediately, because later in life it's going to be harder to get disconnected from that person. You would have invested already so many years. It's going to be a disaster. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to all the little things around the person, before you engage. Okay? So the fourth thing is to pay attention to the way he acts with his sisters. If he's very competitive with the sisters, it means that there is underlying sibling rivalry, and it's going to show up in your relationship at some point because you are both highly educated, and at some point it's going to show up, so you want to be careful how he treats the sisters, and you want to pay attention to how he treats his mother, his parents. Because if he doesn't have any respect for his parents, he will not have respect for your parents, and he will treat them anyhow, maybe because he has money, because he's educated, because he's coming from a different kind of family. So you have to pay attention to all those little details as you are in the dating or courting phase. All right. So the fifth criteria is someone with ambition. Means that he wants more for himself, more for his family, a wife, children, and he's willing to work hard and continue to innovate and reinvent himself, get more certificates, learn about this or that, to continue to provide for the family. Criteria, he has to have a vision. Actually, this probably has to be the first one. You should never, ever pair yourself with a guy who does not have a vision. What is a vision? A vision is something he writes about how he sees his life. So now you are in college, or in med school, and you're probably going to be medical doctors. But what is the vision? The vision is something he's going to use to impact other people. And in that impact, he will gain some benefit. He will gain either the fulfillment of his mission, but it always comes with financial reward. If a man doesn't have a vision, some men, the vision is to get married, have 2 children, and a nice wife who is going to be at home with them. That's their vision. It means that once, they get married to you, you have to fit in. You have to, because you follow the vision of the man. You don't just do your own thing. Like, you follow the vision. So you have to be very careful. If it's a man with, let's say, a large vision, who wants to conquer a certain area of life, and you can clearly see that he has a plan. The plan is not always 100% clear, but he has a direction. He's going somewhere, and you fit into the vision, and you see that, okay, with my background, my capacity, my intellectual, I can support him and help him reach what he wants to reach. It's extremely important, because if you don't pay attention to that, and let's say you are someone very ambitious, you're a woman, and you're like, oh, I want this type of lifestyle, I want to live in a mansion, I want to at least have a luxury car, whatever brand, Mercedes, Rolls Royce, Range Rovers, Tesla, whatever you like, Lamborghini. And then you marry a guy who is, he just wants a nice little house in a nice, middle class neighborhood. He just wants to drive, let's say, a van. There's going to be a problem. Okay? So you need to pay attention to all that. Now, when you're a woman and you are highly educated and you want all these things, I want a mansion, I want this, I want that, I want that. You yourself, you need to understand how you will be able to help produce all those things that you want. Okay? Now, talking about finances, I think this is number 7. It has to be a man who is ready to take care of his family 100%. A real man, not someone who wants 50-50. Or because you're so educated, maybe if you bring 50% and I bring 50%, we can do this, we can do that. No, the money of the woman, anyway, is part of the family expenses, the family needs, or whatever. But you want to check a man with the mentality that he's a provider, he's a protector, and he is going to take care of you and the children 100%. It's not that at some point he says, you know what, this and that and blah 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 blah. You have to be very careful how you pick your husband. Don't just pick him because he has a potential that you see in the future. That potential has to be nurtured with certain characteristics in his character. Okay, he has to be ambitious. He has to have a clear path for how he sees his family. Okay, so the other criteria I will talk about here is to make sure that that man is not a competitor with you. He's supposed to love you. He's supposed to cover you. He's supposed to protect you. And the competition has to occur outside. So you yourself as a woman, regardless of your level of achievement, your degrees, your portfolio, your CV, when you come home, you need to understand your position. You are the wife, you are the feminine part, you are the one who nurtures, you are the one who brings the peace home, who brings a structure. You decide. Sometimes women, a lot of the time, you pick the house, you pick the decoration, you pick this, you pick that. Cook dinner, have the children be orderly with their activities, with whatever they're doing. So you're the mother. Even if you work, let's say me, I work, right? I'm a medical doctor, I work, but what I did over the years, I made my children a priority. Initially, after I was done with my training, I was working for corporations, so it was really hard to decide my schedule. But then when I started my own practice, I could decide what to do. And picking up the children and after school activities was my priority. I wouldn't see patients after a certain time, and there were days where I wouldn't even go to work because the children were the priority. So pick up at school, make sure they have a good snack or something. If they have athletic activities, we would just go somewhere and eat, so they could eat after school and get hydrated. We will have different kinds of activities, either academic with tutoring or athletic with practice, or just have fun together, go to Barnes & Noble, go to a museum. But I would spend the time with them, and then we would go back home, work on what happened at school during the day. I would cook dinner. Dinner time is a very sacred time for me, because I established some rules that would help everyone express themselves, talk about the difficulties they had at school, give them strategies. It was a time to help them understand certain situations, give them tips on how to respond to the attacks at school. So you have, regardless of your ambition, your degrees and all that, you at some point you have to organize your life and your family life to be the nurturer, because your husband comes back at home in the evening, he's tired, dinner has to be ready. Sometimes he relaxes in his own way and you have to give him time to do that. And then after the kids are in bed or whatever, give him time, give him attention and things like that. You have to think about that, okay? You have to know that there are things the mother does and there are things the wife does, okay? Another point I can mention here is kindness. Your husband has to be kind and patient with you. If the guy is violent, he is angry all the time, or he can even abuse you. Abuse is not just physical, it's also emotional. And it can be also spiritual, using the Bible to try to tell you that you have to be submissive, you have to be submissive, you have to be submissive. Especially women who achieve high, have the potential to make a lot of money, think for themselves. Some men who are not secure feel that they have to oppress them. You have to be very careful about this kind of behavior. And another thing, you have to have a husband that is very confident, but still he chose you because you boost his confidence. You trigger in him the desire to do more, to do better, to exceed his goals or expectations. You want to be that person who can see in the future, look at his vision, and add a little bit, add here, help him stay focused, encourage him when he's getting a little bit discouraged, make sure he's keeping true and authentic to his vision, and then open up his mind and tell him, hey, look, this is what you can also do. This is how you can do it. This is another possibility. Even if it's not happening now, write it down somewhere and think about it. Okay? A man who is financially aware, he knows how to make money, he knows how to manage money, and he knows how to multiply, generate more money. A man who is not afraid when he sees large amounts of money and panics. Okay, so large amount of money depends on your background. It could be in thousands, it could be in hundreds of thousands, it could be in millions, and it could be in billions, even thinking trillions. But you want someone who is confident and who is comfortable with managing money and not cutting corners to get that money. Okay, so basically these are the criteria you have to look for when you want to choose a husband. And other things you really have to talk about is wanting children. How many children are we going to have? If, let's say, both of you are professionals, how are we going to manage the children? What's going to happen when I want to go back to work? How am I going to organize the schedule? So if let's say I bring money home and then I have to be on maternity leave that is not paid, how are we going to manage that? Are you willing to work more? Are you willing to work harder? Are you willing to expand your horizons? So all those things have to be taken into account. You don't pick a husband based on his physical attribute, or he's so tall, or he has a six-pack, or he's so muscular, or you don't get fooled by the material possession. Maybe he drives a nice car, he lives in an exclusive area, nice apartment. No. First, if he's in an apartment, it means he doesn't own, he is leasing. That's money spent and money wasted. Owning a home shows you better responsibility in a man. He can have a car, but that car, is it paid off? Is it on lease? Did he take a loan for that car? So you don't just look at the flashy things, but go deeper. Okay, go deeper and pay attention to the person, pay attention to the heart, pay attention to the way they treat people around them. Are they kind to the waiter? Are they annoyed when children are crying around them? Are they quick-tempered? Are they compassionate? So all those little things, I tell you, don't neglect those, because at the end of the day, they will be the reason why you begin to separate from the person. You have to know that God has a person for you. You were born with someone in mind to take care of you, someone in mind to love you, someone in mind for whom you are the helpmeet. So don't rush, don't get worried because you're getting too old. Don't try to multiply partners and boyfriends. Keep to yourself and just take time to analyze and observe people around you, and you will find the best fit for you. All right, so this was Dr. Suzanne, and I hope you will take notes and write all those criteria down. Thank you. Bye bye.